let's start with Greg Gutfeld, and I feel like this guy was a bigger thing back then. So you want to kind of remind us of who he is?
I guess I don't know. I guess he's supposed to be Fox's the funny one, right?
Yeah.
And I guess even back then, it was like, here's Fox's funny guy on the red eye. It was almost like he had a Zoo Crew kind of radio feel to
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
he was the funny guy who was saying these well, and you can see he actually has a bit of a sense of humor about when Hitchens insults him. So he can, I give him credit for being able to roll with some of Hitchens's taunts here and there better than like Sean Hannity is going to go like, oh god, and just be so broadcast his offense. But this is the late show, so Gutfeld's being a little more, he's probably a drink and a half in, you know what I mean, like he's having
sure
having a good not as much as Hitchens, of course, but
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is, I remember Red Eye when they started that, and I remember kind of thinking, perhaps a little uncharitably, oh my God, they're trying to do the Daily Show for Fox. It's awful.
That was the half-hour news hour. You remember that one?
Oh, that's right. That was the half-hour news hour. I might be conflating the two. Yeah,
it was all the same attempt. It was all the same thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Red Eye was a little bit more. Yeah, like you said, kind of radio Zoo Crew.
Dennis Miller too, a little bit of the Dennis Miller vibe, like for Fox. We're hanging out. There's some low lighting. We have a black backdrop, and I'm gonna be working. This is the risque. This is all the 60 through 70 through 80, 90 have gone to sleep. This is the late 50s crowd is still up.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's give this one a watch.
Yeah, let's hear him.
My next guest wrestles with God. Not literally. Well, actually, literally. In his latest book, it's called God Is Not Great: How Religion Poisons Everything. And here to talk about it is author and journalist Christopher Hitchens. Mr. Hitchens, why do you hate our Lord Jesus Christ so much?
Well, I can't hate anyone in whose existence I don't really believe, but one reason I do dislike him, and
isn't it funny that that was the big thing that the character in God's Not Dead gets the logic professor with is, how can you believe it? So how can you hate something you don't believe? And his response is, well, that would be silly, right? And that's like the whole linchpin of the whole movie. Anyway, sorry, I won't.
No, that's absolutely right. Like, because in God Is Not Dead, that was treated. Oh, they got him right. That's why do you hate God? No, why do you hate God? Why do you hate God? It's like, oh, damn it, I hate God because my mom died. And, that's...
He took everything from me. Yeah, that whole thing. Well, and Hitchens just shrugs it off like he just got hit with a handful of feathers or something.
Yeah, it's like, well, obviously, I don't hate someone I don't believe. Which
that would be absurd.
is 110% how the whatever the professor's name was, but how that guy would actually respond, right? I mean, like that's the idea that how do you hate God is going to be the question. Why do you hate God is going to be the question that gets him to break down. It's just amazing. But anyway,
the ghastly aging intolerant virgin who you just showed live from Brazil is he said that he eschewed the birth canal, or rather, perhaps I put it another way, use the birth canal only as a one-way street. This is a thing that almost all religions have in common. There's something they hate about the genitalia, especially the female. I don't share this view.
Well, that's a good point. But the thing is, if you hate religion because of it's the worst followers, it's like hating alcohol because there are drunks.
No, it's not because of the worst followers. It's because the texts themselves say what they say. They say, take no thought for the morrow, for example, if it's the New Testament. Forget everything, leave your family, abandon your friends, just follow me because the world is coming to an end really soon and nothing else matters. That's not moral instruction. If it's the Old Testament, they say, as long as you can kill every other member of every other tribe, leaving only the virgin females of the other team as captives for purposes unstated, then you'll get to the promised land. That's not moral teaching either. You don't need to be an extremist or a fundamentalist to say, well, that is what the religion actually says. Islam says, not the Quran itself.
I like, by the way, that while there's a chat on the screen over it, it looks like all it says under Hitchens is an atheist.
Red Eye, an atheist. Yeah. I mean, Hitchens does look kind of red-eyed in this one. Like he's obviously, it's been a long
Red-eyed
day. He's a
atheist
bit
drunk,
hungover.
Christopher Hitchens.
Yes, yeah. Which I don't want to speculate. Who knows? Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, he is probably a little, or at least severely hungover. I mean, like
Yeah.
realistically, but yeah.
But the Hadith, equally respected, says, someone tries to leave the religion, kill him. He's dead as an apostate. The fundamentalists have the original texts on their side. As long as these texts are respected, we're always in danger of a revival of the most poisonous, toxic, horrible stuff.
But Christopher, not all religions are relative. I mean, we don't. My mother doesn't fly planes into buildings. She just goes to church on Sunday.
Which church is that?
St. Gregory's, Catholic Church.
Well, so she thinks that, right,
diplomatic.
and I'm sure if you asked her, she would not say that she thinks that the souls of unbaptized children go to limbo. She probably doesn't think that, does she? But she was told that it was true and forced to believe it for centuries when millions of grieving parents thought that damn, I didn't get the kid baptized in time, it died so soon, now it's in limbo forever. The church told them this wicked thing. This Pope you just had on the screen only took that back 2 weekends ago. Said, actually, we don't think that anymore. How can they say it? It was a real place for millions of people. This is an evil, cruel teaching. By the way, having said that they got something so big, so wrong, you notice they're ready to be infallible all over again. Maybe she goes to St. Gregory's for the company. I have no idea.
I think she probably
If she goes for the religion, she's going to a place that preaches wicked things. That same church says AIDS in Africa is, of course, very bad, but not as bad as condoms in Africa.
Let's just get away from religion and let's talk about God. I believe in God because I figure if I'm wrong, I won't know. I'm kind of like hedging my bet.
I think it's I have to point out, I feel like Hitchens kind of pulled a punch there. Like he could have gone to the most easy retort, which would have been, well, if your mother gives to collection, then she's funding the legal defense of pederasts and rapists, and torturers of children, as he said before. Like he could have gone for the harder hit there. And I just think it's funny. Somebody in the chat said, man, Gutfeld went and doxed his own mother, right? Right there for that.
Says the name of the church she goes to and everything. Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's amazing. No, that's true. He could have brought up cardinal law there, but that would have been harsher and a little bit more in character. But it is also just amazing that, like, the way Gutfeld set it up. He says, well, not all religions are relative, which is a sloppy way of putting what he's trying to say, which is like not all religions are equally bad, right? That's what he's trying to say. But
I noticed
it is a tellingly sloppy thing because, like, people like Gutfeld do this all the time. They'll use like relative or relativism to mean exactly the opposite of what it means. Like if you say that whatever, like the invasion of Iraq was similar to the invasion of Ukraine. There's like, oh, that's relativism. It's like, no, that's exactly the opposite of relativism. I'm applying consistent standards, but,
exactly.
So it's a telling mistake. But what he means is they're not all equally bad. But then his way of saying it is, well, my mother doesn't fly planes into buildings. It's like, do you think all of them like Muslim grannies you find at like any given Friday night, in mosque, like you think they fly planes into buildings? Like, some Muslims have done, have committed atrocities in the name of Islam, but that is not a disanalogy between Islam and Catholicism.
Yeah, like, would you call that a false equivalence or just a kind of, I don't know, like it's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely just an uncharitable like way to try to argue against. I don't know. It does. We shouldn't keep bringing things back to God's not dead, but it really is like they have this really racist, awful depiction of a Muslim and a man and his daughter, and it's like, well, yes, this religion's bad, and we agree we want to hate this religion with you, Christopher Hitchens. But hey, let's not like, not all religions. Hashtag not all religions. Come on. We're not. We're just justifying this brutal foreign policy, or cruise missiles in Israel, or in Gaza Strip, fired by Israel. Like it's and so he literally comes up with the most innocent example he could consider, which is like his mother sitting in a Catholic church, somewhere on the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What if you're, what about surely, I mean, you could have, in fact, look, there is a guy that they could have hired if they didn't want to if they wanted to make a different kind of statement, like when they hired Gutfeld. Like, you could have found some, like, probably a little bit Carlos Mencia-ish, hated self-hated, kind of like, I don't know, like some like Jordanian American like comic to like do this exact thing. And it's like, look, his mom doesn't fly planes into buildings either. She goes to a nice mosque and like has, like does nice things. But yeah, there are Muslim fundamentalists who've committed terrible crimes, and whereas the Catholic Church, as we all know, has never done anything wrong.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I am fascinated by Fox News. I have been for a long time, and at this time, like there were people that they had that they were comfortable doing that. Like today it's Candace Owens. Back in the day, it was like Patrice O'Neill, one of my favorite comics. Like they would bring Patrice O'Neill because he would go on Opie and Anthony, and they just kind of had this shallow view that he's going to say stuff against political correctness, which he totally would. But he was also, Patrice O'Neill was too much of a live wire where he'd just be like, listen, Sean Hannity, admit you're a racist. We all know it. Just be real about it, man. And like it would go off the rails for them. Like he was too volatile. They couldn't control him. At this time on Fox, like they didn't have I don't remember there being a token Arab or Muslim who would come on and say, yeah, we got to kill them all, or nuke that whole place or whatever. They were much more comfortable having, white guys discuss it, how evil Islam is, and then try to, make up the difference for Christianity.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Isn't that the way most people believe in God, is because they figure if they don't believe it and they're wrong, they're screwed. If they believe it and they're right, they win.
Pascal's wager.
That is what's known as Pascal's wager. And in my book, which you kindly featured, I restate the wager. I say, look, suppose I check out and I've been wrong all along, and I'm suddenly in front of some chap who can sort of bar my way to the gates of paradise, where, of course, I want to go, because who wouldn't want to live for an eternity just praising God as if he was Kim Il-sung?
Mr.
Leave that to one side.
Christopher, we got to roll.
And he says, what the hell? And I say, look, you didn't give me enough evidence.
You got it.
Wouldn't he be nicer to me than if I'd been a hypocrite?
All right, that's good. That's where we got to end it, Mr. Hitchens. Thank you for being on the show.
All right. Very Bill Maher-esque music there at the end. Did you catch that too?
Yeah, that's true. This is
very real time.
It was. This is actually kind of funny because I just had. I actually just wrote an article for about Bill Maher for the Daily Beast.
Congrats on that. That was great.
Thank you. So it's called. Well, look, I obviously didn't write this headline. I've never used the word cringe as an adjective, and I never will. But I do stand by the sentiment. It's called Bill Maher didn't change. It's always been a cringe centrist, which I was actually talking about on David Feldman earlier, which is funny because Feldman used to be a writer on the Bill Maher show. But
whoa, interesting.
Yeah, which is what I always like. So ever since I knew that, right, I always use that, like when I'm talking about Maher, and I'm like, Bill Maher, when he's really on his own, when he's doing like the opening monologues, it's a train wreck. He's like the least naturally talented comedian who's ever been that successful in comedy. But when he's doing the new rules, some of those new rules that my friend David Feldman wrote for him were funny.
There you go. That's not bad. I don't know if Gutfeld had writers here. I mean, what do you think?
He might. I mean, sure, he had writers on the show, but like, I think that interview seemed pretty unscripted. He had. I mean, if there were writers who were involved in preparing those questions, they were phoning it in.
It really. He just had like every single question was like a different defense. It almost reminded me of like a prop comic who reaches into a bag, to take out every new joke or whatever, every new gag. Like it It really was. It was just very like, what about my mom? Is she evil too? Okay, no, that. What about I'm hedging my bets? How about that? Like, and it was just like it was like for Hitchens, it was like T-ball. It was like a game of T-ball. And he's obviously like half dead, half asleep. Who knows how much the cancer is growing in his body at this point. I don't want to be mean, but like he's he doesn't look good. He's got
no, he does not. He does not look good in that interview. Like that is actually like I have seen a lot of Hitchens on YouTube. Just wrote that book about him. That is possibly the worst that I've seen him look like on TV. Like I'm not saying I've never seen him look that bad, but I don't think I've seen him look worse than that.
Quite a belabored. I've seen him look drunker and not nowhere near as bad. You know what I'm saying?
No, totally right. Like I've seen him look like sort of convivially drunk before, of course, right? I mean, there's tons of that, but like I've never seen him look as just like strung out as he does in that interview. That is like a feat of heroism that like he made it through the interview. It's like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Sure. Your mother, the Catholic Church.
Limbo. He's just counting the time to his next cigarette. You know what I mean? It's like at the back of his head the whole time. Yeah,
totally. And he still kicks his ass.
Exactly. That's Hitchens that is very tired and burnt out and just like, like I said, it was T-ball. It was just T-ball. It was a game of T-ball for him.
Totally, right? I mean, it's like Hitchens at his very worst and most strung out was still like, I mean, I don't, I mean, obviously, as somebody said in the chat, I mean, it's the great theologian Greg Gutfeld. So,
let's hear from him.
You're gonna get what you're gonna get there, more or less. You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.